Hello and welcome to Wilson Waffling Live, episode 12, recorded on Sunday, the 31st of August. Back to school. Run titles.
Wilson Waffling.
Hello and welcome to Wilson Waffling Live. And if you're watching this live, welcome to the show. If you're not, if you're watching this on YouTube, then welcome to Wilson Waffling Not So Live. First of all, this is my new image. I took this morning. It looks a bit dark on here, but really it's not a sunset, it's a sunrise. You can just see the sun peering over there, but it's lovely clouds, and there's this sort of like, that's not a giant flower up there. That is like a light at a car park. So that's my background image. Today, another cloudy day because I love clouds. The other thing is, anything else new? Well, I found my favorite T-shirt. I'd lost this T-shirt. I didn't realize this T-shirt was actually still around, and I opened my drawer this morning and found it. And the first thing, I love it because it is purple. And of course, my favorite color is purple. But there is one thing that I don't like about it. It has a bit of white here, which I think is nice. Purple and white is lovely. But just if I just stand up a bit, can you see here? It says 1953. 1953, and it's called a vintage T-shirt. I don't know why, but vintage T-shirt, and it says 1953. And the number of people I see who ask me when I'm actually wearing this T-shirt, was that when you were born? No, it wasn't. Does this face look like I was born in 1953? It's not my birthday at all. So I was born a lot later than that. So, welcome to Wilson Waffling Live, and this episode 12 is all about going back to school. Back to school, and within the blogosphere. Throughout the week, I've been tweeting a lot about blog posts and people talking about going back to school and the positives and the negatives and advice. And so this week's show is I'm going to talk a bit about those articles that I've seen, and also talk about this week's Wilson Waffling as well, to let you know what I've waffled about. So if you prefer just to listen to me talk to you about it, then you can watch this video. If not, remember you could pop along to wilsonwaffling.co.uk and actually see and listen to the blog post there. Remember, as always, if you want to tweet me, this is my Twitter, iWilsonYSJ. By all means, send me a reply or pop along there and listen to my waffles or what I post throughout the week, and keep in touch. It's always nice to hear from anybody who's listening or watching or just reading my tweets. So let's make a start. Let's talk about my first article that I found, which is called reflective teaching. Now, any of you who sort of like are just finishing your course, or just finish your postgrad or finish your BA in primary education with QTS or BEd, then you will be familiar with reflection and reflective teaching, because it's almost like the essence of what we actually do as teachers. And the idea is that we spend time completing a lesson, and once we've completed the lesson, then we go back and we sort of like reflect on it and decide what's good and what's bad and what could be improved about it. So this one, this web page, and it's from Teach Thought, as in teachthought.com, and it's basically giving you a reflective teaching 30-day blogging challenge. So if you're like me and you are a blogger, then you might want to have a go at this blogging challenge. And basically what it does is that for each day it has a challenge for you to do. And you can I'll just zoom in a bit so you can see it. You can see, write your goals for the school year, be specific or abstract as you'd like to be. Okay, and then here, day 4, respond. What do you love the most about teaching? So this is, I really like this sort of like idea that you go through and you do something every day. And some of these are really positive and some of them are to get you thinking. Day 9 here says, write about one of your biggest accomplishments in your teaching that no one knows about or maybe not cares. So what I think it's a positive way to look at your teaching and your reflective practice. And sometimes, if for example you write about that accomplishment, maybe it sparks off new ideas or an idea that you've forgotten about that you can sort of like start talking about or implementing it into your practice. Now, if, like I said, if you're new to teaching and you've just finished your course, then one of the other things that a good article that I found and I tweeted earlier on this week is this one that was entitled Advice for New Teachers. And this is from a website called ideasfortheclassroom.wordpress.com. And remember, all the links I talk about today will be in the show notes underneath this video. And we have the classic keep calm and love teaching here. And basically what this does is that it talks about NQTs and ITE students and gives you some advice that you should be doing or could be doing. And I think you probably know all this to start off with. I think you're probably aware of this. And I think the important thing is to be reminded of it. And sometimes we get so sort of like caught up in what we're doing, then sometimes it's a good idea, while you're having lunch, call up a site on your iPad like this and just have a read of it. Still engage in the conversation in the staff room, but have a read and remind yourself. And one of the really interesting things in this blog post is when it talks about joint planning. And when I was in primary school, planning was not done jointly to start off with. It was done very much in isolation. And it's sort of like done by yourself in the holidays or in your own classroom. And it's only as time has gone on and on and on, then we've sort of like started to team teach and teach in teams, and we've got this collaborative planning. And it's very hard sometimes for an NQT or an RQT to sort of like get into that team. And remember, speak up, but say what you think. Say what you think. The worst they can say is no. The best, they've employed you because they want these new ideas. So talk about and say, what about this? What about this? I've got this. This worked. How about doing it this way? So forth and so on. And be positive and really get into that collaboration. So that's I'll just mention the blog post again, ideas for the classroom.wordpress.com. Teaching ideas, things that have worked, things that haven't, with a skew to mathematics, I think it says there. So that's sort of like a second site I tweeted about. Now, the other one that I wanted to talk about was something that I don't actually like the title of this article, but the article itself is really good. And I really like the article. I just don't like the title, but I understand where the title's coming from, and I'll talk about this a little bit more when I talk about my blog post for my waffle this week. And this article is from a new website. I haven't seen this before, and I found it on Twitter, and then subscribed to it via my RSS feed, and then started to look at the post. And I was quite interested. It's been some really good posts coming up from this. So this one is from the website www.huntingenglish.com. Okay, an English teacher on the hunt for great teaching and learning strategies, connecting with peers to share and collaborate. So really good essentials. Coming back to what I was saying just beforehand about you collaborating and joint planning and things like this. I've just noticed when I'm sort of like, I don't know if you know this, but as you're looking at a shot, I'm sort of like queuing up the next shot to sort of like go for. And I think I'm going to move where this this part is here. I'm wondering whether or not it'd be better coming down there or even down here because it's all like eh, I don't have a really good camera, see, so I think it's all like blocks me a bit. So I might have to change that. I think it's cutting off my chin somewhat. The other thing is, did you notice anything new, by the way? Just to diverge or go off on a tangent, did you notice anything new? I've got new glasses. I don't know if you've noticed that. They're slightly different from the. I went to Specsavers. I should have gone to Specsavers and I did. So a bit of um, what do you call it, advertising placement there. But jury's still out on them at the moment. Jury's still out on them at the moment. I think they're a little bit more reflective than the last one. That's why I mentioned them. I think you can actually see out my window because the windows are sort of like there. So anyway, enough waffle. You can tell why it's called Wilson Waffling. Back onto this new site, and I don't actually like beating the back to work blues about this post, but I understand where it's coming from, and I'll talk about that later. But one of the good things it does is that it talks about various aspects of going back to school and what you can do, and essential things like here it says, think about what you will not do, make a morning plan, take small breaks, take a proper lunch break. And these are so important. And people talk about these all the time, all the time. And us as practitioners, we tend to avoid these. And it's things that we really should be thinking about all the time. And one of the that several of these items I sort of like talk again in my own blog post with a different sort of like perspective, and this is a really good idea and to have a look at this site and just to go through it and almost like take off these little headlines, and make a note of them and stick them somewhere important so you can see them like on a sticky on your screen, so when you're planning and things like that, then you can have a look at them and keep an eye on them. So I have another blog post that I would like to show you, but I'm going to show you at the end just to a bit of change. And I would like to now talk about this week's Wilson Waffling. And this week's Wilson Waffling is entitled Back to School, New or a Repeat Performance. And of course, with everybody this week going back to school, then the blogosphere is full of these posts. So I decided to have a go at myself and sort of like pick out three sort of like things that I would like to talk about. And the first thing I would like to say at this point is that it goes back to this back to work blues. And I'm one of those people, and people who know me will probably recognize this, is that I really enjoy going back to work. And although it may be not the actual transition back to work, I do enjoy work when I get there, and it's part of my life, and it's part of the life that I enjoy doing. I love teaching, I love interaction, I love talking and discussing and solving problems and encouraging and motivating and challenging, everything like that. And that was exactly the same in teaching when I was in primary school. And even though I'm in higher education now, it's still the same. And I really do love that. And I think this back to work blues, I think to me, it's the difference between coming from a time on holiday when you have control. You almost have complete control of your time, and you can get up when you want, you can go to bed when you want, you can go where you want, you can go on holiday, you can chill. And yes, if you have children to look after, they might be an influence as well, but generally your time is your own. And then I think what happens is that we go back to work and we go into a routine, and there's a routine to follow, and we get up at the right same time, we go to bed at the same time, and we got this to do and this to do and staff meetings, etc., etc. And I think it's that I think we feel blue about it because all of a sudden time we're not in control anymore. We're almost like on the wheel, going around like a rabid hamster, and we've lost that control. And I think that's the difference. That's why we might feel back to work blues. Although I actually enjoy it when I get back there. And so the blues is not really, it's sort of like back to routine, I would more likely to say. And I must admit, during the summer holidays when I was teaching, I used to really sort of like get that excitement and the anxiety to go back to school or back to work. And I used to try to avoid saying I'm going back to school because really and truly I was going back to work. Although a lot of people used to say to me, when are you going back to school? When you go back to school, you say, I left school when I was 18. I'm a big boy now. I'm at uni or I've got a job. So that's the first thing I wanted to say about the back to school idea, and that was where the blue. So here's some points, okay, and I picked out 3 points to talk about. And the first point I talked about was I said smile before Christmas, smile before Christmas, and I must admit, and I put both my hands up to this. I remember so much giving this advice out when I was younger and naive and the starting teaching and hearing this advice all the time. And people used to say, oh, don't smile before Christmas. If you smile before Christmas, you will lose them. And although there is some essence in this, it's all to do with behavior management. And to me, what's more important is in behavior management, and I wrote a blog post about this as well, and there's a link in this week's waffle that you can link to go and see it. Behavior management is all about consistency and establishing those expectations early on and then being consistent with those. And one of the key things to behavior management is respect. And it's the respect that children have for you and you have for the children. Or in the case of higher education, I have for the students and the students hopefully have for me. I say hopefully. They might all be sat there at the moment. We don't respect you, Ian. But anyway, it's this idea that it's a sort of like a collaboration, and this idea that you need to build that respect. And although the popular saying is "Don't smile before Christmas," or you'll lose them. One thing I would say is that I would say, please do smile. Do smile before Christmas. Smile on the first day. Smile on the last day. Smile in the morning when the children are coming in. Smile at night when they are going. Not because you're sort of like, oh, hi, go. Yes, I'm so pleased you're leaving. More sort of like, hi, see you later. Hope you have a nice evening. See you tomorrow. Looking forward to teaching you again. Smile when you meet new parents. And it's this idea that it's going to make you approachable, and it's going to make you integrate and collaborate, and children will grow and respect and see that cheerful nature. And the other thing is, it's always positive to smile. And it was interesting that I actually tweeted this as a tweet, and I said, my advice for new teachers, please do smile before Christmas. And you can see here Daniel Meyer, and you can follow him on Twitter. He's obviously got a lovely hair and a headband there. Definitely agree, smiling puts everyone at ease and makes for a much nicer learning environment. And I totally agree with this and would recommend it to everyone. So back to the waffle. Point 2. Here it is. Have confidence in your own teaching style. Now, teaching style is something that is very unique, and working in initial teacher education, a lot of the time I get the question or the suggestion, just show me how to do it. Just show me how to do it and I'll do it. And although that would be if teaching was like that, and there was one style that suited every teacher and every child, then this profession would be a doddle. But it's not. And teaching styles are so unique to people. And I wrote a blog post about the use of technology and how some teachers love technology and use it well, and they should continue using it. Well, if it's not for you, then don't force it. We don't want this forcing of technology on to children and other teachers and professionals. And throughout their lives, children experience a whole range of teaching strategies and approaches. And that's what helps them to learn and make decisions, what they like and what they don't like. And one of the things I say to you is that when you start to teach, you are going to encounter a whole load of different teaching styles, and you're going to encounter people who have taught for years and are really secure in their teaching, and people who are just starting teaching. And one thing that I would say to you is have confidence in your teaching style. And if you have finished your training recently, then you will know that you have passed, you've got an outstanding, you got this, you got that. You have learnt, you developed it over the 9 months for PG, or you've done it over 3 years. So have that confidence in your teaching and your approach. And although some people might say, oh, don't do it like that, or don't do that, we're going to reflect on it. We're going to do that. But we're not necessarily just to change to what everybody else says. And I write here, and it may be a bit of a contentious issue, but you know, in education, there's what we call dream stealers. And when you become bitter about education, that's when it can almost like have that negative, that about teaching, sorry, that negativity about it. And we don't want that. We want the positiveness. We want this sharing of idea. We want this collaboration. And just because somebody tells you that you shouldn't do something doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. And yes, people might have years of experience of teaching, but that doesn't mean they are right. And I mean, when I was in my final years of teaching in primary school, I was still meeting students or trainee teachers. And I was saying, that's a fantastic idea. How have I not heard about that? And this is why you have to have like, this confidence. And if people start to say it's easier not to do that, or you shouldn't be doing that, then reflect on it. Do reflect on it, but then have confidence in what you are doing and how you got that outstanding in your last practice, or how you have developed your teaching. On Facebook at the moment, I'm seeing so many classroom displays going up. And it really does make me proud to look at the students who have been through our course and are going out into school and are creating these fantastic classrooms, these fantastic, interactive, stimulating learning environments ready for children to learn. And I would love to be a fly on the wall in some of them and actually see those children's faces when they actually go to those classrooms, because I'm sure that they'll be absolutely fantastic and mesmerized by some of the activities and some of the displays. So have confidence in that and be reflective, but trust in your own approach. And as we talk about reflection, and we've talked about it already in the sense of that 30-day blog challenge, let's talk about reflection, because my final point is more about being too critical. And I think a lot of the time, ourselves as practitioners are far too critical on ourselves. Sorry, I was just taking a sip of tea then. We're far too critical of ourselves. And I think what we need to do is that we need to remember to reflect, but to accept that some things are beyond our control and we can't actually do it. Now, in higher education, so I moved from primary to higher education, and one of the advantages, and it really is an advantage, is that when you're teaching in primary school, you sort of like get one chance of the lesson. And if it goes well, it goes well. If it doesn't go so well, it doesn't go so well. You forget and leave it. One thing that I have to do in higher education is that I often have to teach the same session to more than one group of students. And although the learning is the same, the consistency of approach is there. Consistency of content, sorry. Sometimes I change the approach. And sometimes I do a session, I get to the end of it, and I think, oh, that didn't go as I wanted it to go. And some of the students will probably say, listen to this now and say, yeah, we remember those sessions, Ian. And I sort of like think that didn't go how I wanted it to go. So I change it for the next session and I do it slightly different. And then I find that doesn't go according to plan. So I go back to my original way of doing it. And I do that with the third group, and it goes fantastically well. And what I'm trying to say here is that sometimes it's nothing to do with your approach and your teaching. Sometimes it's just a different group of children, a different time of the day, a different weather environment. Sometimes you cannot make everything perfect. And I think as practitioners, we really are in danger of reflecting and being critical of ourselves. And I'm quite happy to be critical. And sometimes we do have to be critical, but I think sometimes we are too critical and we take it all on our own shoulders. And that does not make us effective practitioners. So when things go wrong, look at them and reflect on them, but be prepared to think to yourself, that was just that, and move on. If you think I could have changed that, I could have done that better, I could have planned it better, I could have had my resources out beforehand, anything like that, then that's fine. But there is a time that you just have to think it was as good as it could be, and those points are beyond my control. Okay, so we're coming to the end. That was a bit philosophical, wasn't it? You never know me to be philosophical. So we're coming to the end now of my blog post, and down at the bottom, I comment here about we know that we're meant to be eating properly. We know we're meant to be sleeping, etc., etc. And I mentioned this before, but it won't last. I know I will start taking a healthy lunch the first 2 days, but after that it'll fall down and then that'll be it. So one thing I'd just like to flag up to you here is that if you are a regular listener or reader or whatever of this channel, then you might have remembered I commented about an end of term activity. And one thing I said in that end of term activity is something that I do at the beginning of the year that I then revisit at the end. Okay, so if you're interested about what that is, then just hop along to that end of term activity on wilsonwaffling.co.uk and you'll be able to read it and see it and maybe set it up for your first day. Okay, that's roughly the end of that Wilson Waffling post. There's some other things that I would like to draw your attention to. I would like to thank my darling students who, of course, nominated me for the Ice Bucket Challenge. The Ice Bucket Challenge. Now, I knew it was going to come, and I was just waiting for it to happen. So, anyway, I was quite happy to do it. There was not a problem about it at all. In two things you might know about me. One thing is that my favourite colour is purple, and the other thing is that I really like giraffe. So, I did it in my giraffe onesie. And if you want to go and have a look at it, then you can go along to Wilson Waffling Live, wilsonwaffling.co.uk, and click on the button and see me doing my Ice Bucket Challenge. So, anything else that I would like to point out today? Well, the first thing, just to remind you that if you participate or you tweet or anything like that, then, and that does not mean if you nominated me, those people who nominated me on Twitter, if you comment or get in touch in any way, then you will, of course, be entered into the draw for I Waffled with Wilson badge. And I will use the Decide Now app. And if you haven't used this before, it's a really good thing. Download it. It's only 69 pence, and it's an app for iPhones and iPads, and it allows you to select random things. So it's a really good another opportunity for almost like the lollipop idea. So you can have a look at that if you wish. So by all means, give me a tweet, send me an email, get involved, and stick you in for the draw. As always, you can follow me on Twitter, and my Twitter handle is iWilsonYSJ. There's also, if you go to my website, wilsonwaffling.co.uk, you can see there's a number of things here. My waffles are there. You can also follow me on YouTube and Facebook if you wish. Remember, you can go back and watch any past recordings of Wilson Waffling Live here, and I know I go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about this. if you would like to subscribe to me on YouTube, then I would be very grateful. I currently have 24 subscribers. 24 subscribers. I only need one more subscriber, then I've reached my total. I've reached my top limit. Okay, my target this year was to get 25 subscribers, and I've got 24, so I'm right chuffed about that. So one more. So if you want to pop along and subscribe to me, then that would be absolutely fantastic. Also, if you would like to go along to Wilson Waffling, the Facebook page, okay, Wilson Waffling, I'm currently at 394 likes. 394 likes. So I'm really close to that 400 mark. So if you would like to pop along and hit the like button, then that would be absolutely fantastic. And let's see, well as getting 25 subscribers. Let's see if I can get 400 likes on my Facebook page. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this week's Wilson Waffling Live. It's gone a slightly over 30 minutes, but I apologise for that. So until next time, have a lovely time. Have a lovely start to school. Enjoy it. Have fun, and I'll catch you all later. Bye.